Similar just simply means that it's been resized, that we had a dilation of some type. Getting bigger, getting smaller. This one, it's not even that much. Maybe it's like 1.5, or it's like 0.4 fifths, like 4 fifths or something like that. But it is some type of a size change, all right? So we need to look at first one. What do you think? Similar or congruent? Definite similar. Now, on the quiz today, what's happened to some people put down the answer this way. They put PQR. So, P to Q to R, okay? And I noticed that this is, if I go to this next one, it's STU. And so then the question comes up is, Mrs. Thompson, could I have written it as triangle, and you didn't go PQR, you went RQP. Is that okay? Yes, just if you do go with RQP, you then have to make sure you switch the letters on this part. Does that make sense? Okay? So, here's the key thing whenever you're doing similar. So this is our symbol for similar in between the two, not congruent. Are we getting, if we look at starting with this triangle up here, are we getting bigger or smaller? Bigger. So our dilation, the first thing we are thinking is that if we start with triangle PQR, right, PQR, our thought is that we are doing a dilation of what? And I might look at this point and I think, oh, this is located at 1, 1. This one is at 3, 2. I look down here and I go, oh, that's kind of nice. It's at -2, -2. So what do you think the dilation is? 2. And if we check that, and we go, okay, so that's going to make it here, 2, 2. This is going to make it 6, 4, okay? Oh, look at this is at -6, -4, that looks like. So then what had to happen after we dilated it? K equals 2. Then what? We got it bigger up here, then what's happening, Andrew? Rotated 180. Could you have done it quicker, less steps? Possibly. I want to show you. So I agree, K equals 2, and then I probably would have said my second step was to rotate 180. I just want you to see the other way that you could have written that could be scale factor of -2. Doesn't the negative make it like 180 turn? Remember when we did that? So this, again, telling you what you started with, PQR, scale factor -2, and you could have had one step, right, instead of 2. Most people generally get the 2 steps in this one. I don't care how many steps it takes you to get there, right? So on the quiz today, what I'm looking is that it just has to map. When you tell me whatever you did, it has to work if I would actually do those steps, okay? All right, look at the next page. On your next page, what would you say that problem 2 is? Would you say similar or congruent? These two look congruent, right? And we can check the sides. So we're going to put triangle DEF. Does that make sense? Kind of go in alphabetical order. DEF to HGI. So write that down. You missed the one. The next one down in your notes, what does that look like? Yep, right there. Similar or congruent for problem 3, but we're on number 2. The next one down is similar, but let's do this one, right? So, someone want to think they have how we could map it on? Probably could be done in one step. Here's the deal when I look at the sides, right? If I'm looking at the sides, this is 2, 2, so this side is equal in length here. This is a 1, 3. This is a 1, 3. These two are the same length, which means 1, 3. These are also the same length. Okay? Are these two, is this what kind of a triangle? Meaning, what do we know about these? This and this side are exactly the same, right? This is an isosceles triangle. Remember isosceles triangle? That's going to be coming up. So does it matter? I mean, there's many different ways of doing this one. But the easiest thing would be to simply do what? Translate it. And when you write that translation, again, you can write it out as a rule, but I think the easiest thing is just tell me which one you're moving. We're moving DEF, 2 units to the right, 4 units up. 2 units to the right, 4 units up. You're going to do your homework later. Right now we're taking notes. Did you already fill in a letter notes? No, let's do it with you. And then do your homework later when you give you time to work. As we look at this next one, we already said they look similar. I'm going to start with the small one, ABC to TRS. And again, you have to have this statement down first. So write this statement, and now. This one has many different ways of doing it. So I want you to look at it and think, what could I do first? Okay? See, could you have reflected that one first, or could you dilate it? Doesn't matter. And if we were looking at this one, you actually could, if we looked at this, do this first, right? Okay, depending on which one you're doing. So Flora, once we do that, then what? How are you going to dilate? Okay, so our second step, if we did this pink one, if we started here, then we're going to tell it to dilate. K equals 0.5 or a half. So if we look at that, that should make it where it was 2. It's now going to be 1. So that's this one. And then our last step would be to translate. And we're going to say how many units to the right? Well, we got to move from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this one would have been, last step would have been translate 4 to the right. Okay. So this is where it makes a huge difference that you tell me which one you're starting with. Because when we wrote our congruent statement, we said ABC to TRS. Usually what you write first is what you're starting with. So that's why, Chloe, when I said that one, you would want to write your statement for checking yours. You would want to actually put the big triangle to the little one. You put the little one first, I'm thinking you're starting with the little triangle. So that's, just make sure that you're really clear on the quiz and on the test. And then when you write this statement, this is usually what you're starting with. This is where you're ending up, okay? So when we wrote it this way to begin with, could we have dilated it right away too instead of reflecting it? Yes. Could you have reflected first and then made it bigger here? Yes, you could have made this one your bigger one. And then you're sliding it. And now we have to slide it actually more, right? So the numbers are going to be a little different when you look at it. So just to be aware that there is not one right way to do these when we are looking at it. All right, so taking a look at that next page. We're on example 4. Example 4, first we want to determine our similarity. So definitely similar, not congruent, right? Please start with the big one this time. And we're going to go smaller. But I want you to look at how they wrote it. They wrote A, B, C, D. And then on the bottom, for the other figure, they put J first. Does J match up with A? This is not the right congruent statement, right? If we're at A, we had to put what letter first? K, then what? J, M, L. Why? Because when I look at angle A, if they are similar figures, this angle and this angle look to be the same measure. And at angle B, it looks to be the same measure as angle J, right? Because they are similar. So that is really important. So now that we know we're starting with ABC, anyone have any ideas for some of the things we're definitely going to have to see? It's huge, right? You want to make it smaller. And my hint is, what do you think? We could definitely do a rotation, but here's the deal I would recommend first is size change first, because then you're going to get them to line up a little easier. And this one actually has 3 parts. Cole, you with me? Okay, just checking. So, if we notice this is at 1/3, how much smaller does this little one look? How much smaller? Would you say half or a third? Probably half. So, if it's at 1/3, half of 1 is 0.5 to 1.5. This is where my new point A prime is going to be, right? draw this on your picture. B was at 2, 4. It's now going to be at 1, 2. D would be at 1, 1. Does that make sense that this is how my picture looks? C was at 4, 3. It's now going to be at 2, 1.5. And so now, Faith, you said, are we going to go clockwise, negative 90 degrees, or are we going to go counterclockwise, positive 90 degrees? So we want negative 90. So we are going to, if we are starting with this, we're saying A, B, C, D. Our first step was to dilate. K equals 0.5. Second step was to rotate. So guess when I go to rotate that, where is point A prime going to end up? It was at 0.5 up 1.5. If I rotate it 90, like she said, where is it going to end up? How do I know? Should it be over 1.5 or should it be over just a half if I'm rotating it? So remember, this was 0.5, comma 1.5. So it's going to be over 1.5 down to this point. So this is where it moved. This is why this one is really important. Are you drawing the picture with me or not? No, you don't think you need to. You just, you'll be able to look at it and get it. This isn't important to draw this, okay? So this is where our new point A double prime is. We're trying to get it onto K. Now, can I pretty much see where B and D are going to be? This should be my B prime double prime. This should be my D double prime. I don't know that you need that last point, but can you tell what we have to do next step? It doesn't match up exactly, right? Jamie, you seen anything that we might do? How far we have to move it over and down to get to K? Over 1 and down 1. So this one, it's really important that as you're saying what you're going to do, you write it down. And I do agree that you could have done the negative 90 first. Some of you suggested that. But this, anytime you have the dilation, that seems to be, if you do that first where it's at, it makes it a lot harder, or a lot easier, especially when some of these come out at weird points, like this 0.5 and 1.5 and over to 3.5 and down to 1.5. Anytime you have those decimal ones, if you do the size change first, you're more likely to get on. It does not have to be done that way, okay? So, again, there is more than one way of doing this. Some of you might have seen that in your answers, and yours actually worked when you checked yours. That's the key thing. So the last one that we are looking at, again, you're going to look at this, and if we start, the reason we say the answers vary is, again, KLMN. Does that make sense that I did KLMN? Look at the letters. KL, it should be N, right? And then M. So I don't like how this one is written. I'm going to write it above so that you can see it. Got to go around the figure. K, L, N, and then M. Congruent to, is it the second one right as you look at it? W, V, Y, X. What does it look like it's happening? Anyone see it? Changes, and when we look at that, it's going to be to negative y x because it points at the first one. So this is going to be negative 3, 2. If this m, look at that point, was at 0, 2, it's now going to be negative 2. So we have this picture, right? N was at 0, negative 2, it's now going to be at negative 2, 0. So now how am I moving it to fit on? So once I did that rotating of a positive 90, I'm then looking at how far over do we have to move this? Over 4 units? Up 4 units. Okay. So to me, you don't always have to draw these in, but I know that I was trying to match L up to this one. So by